Your team to cover the spread. Favorite one, Jeffrey. Who is it?
I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit here. I'm just going to go with the Miami Dolphins. On top of just the Dolphins being on a big win streak here, we've also got the shadow of Mike Glennon possibly looming over this game, which obviously would be massive news. But it's interesting. This line has moved from -3 to -4.5, but this isn't a hugely public bet with the Miami Dolphins. The main thing here is, and there just seems to be a wide gap in talent on the defensive side. The Miami Dolphins defense has been perhaps the best unit on either side of the ball in the NFL over the last month. This is a team that's averaging over 4 sacks per game. Their turnover rate, they have like 10 turnovers over the last 4 games as well. They've shot from the bottom of the league into the top 10 of the league in that category as well. It's a team that's healthy. They've got Tua playing well. He's being very efficient, not turning the ball over as much on offense. And then you've got a Giants team who can't run the ball. They're bottom 10 in rush attempts per game. They're bottom 10 in terms of yards per attempt per game. Daniel Jones injured, not practicing, or Mike Glennon dropping back 35 plus times. The Dolphins defense is going to go off. They may not even need to score the ball here. I think that this line should be closer to -6. And I think even at -4.5, you got to love the Dolphins.
Yeah, man, absolutely. What about you, Pearce?
I'm good with the Bengals -3. I imagine a lot of people think this is a trap. I don't think it's a trap at all. I'm not a big fan of the Chargers. Chargers offensive line started 3 backups last week. That resulted in a 29% pressure rate for Justin Herbert, worst of the season, got sacked 3 times, worst of the season. And the Broncos didn't blitz him hardly at all, just 6 blitzes the whole game. Cincinnati doesn't have a great pass rush. They have a good pass rush, but similar to Denver, they don't blitz a lot, and they're still able to get pressure on the quarterback. Very similar recipe. I imagine they'll just replicate what they already do, which is what Denver did, and it worked. And also, without those linemen, the Chargers had a real hard time running against Denver, and Denver has the 26th ranked run DVOA. Cincinnati has the 9th best run DVOA. If that line is still not healthy, they're not going to be able to run. They're not going to be able to protect Herbert. I don't see much coming from this offense. And on the other side, Cincinnati's offense, we've talked about them all season. Over the last 5 of the last 6 games, they scored 32 points. I have no problem marking them with 32 points in this matchup. They're just going to run all over the Chargers like everybody else. The Chargers will take away the deep pass. They'll take away Jamar Chase, but they cannot, and it's because of their system, take away the run. Mixon should run all over these guys. You also have Cincinnati, possibly bad weather.
Yep.
I think this is an easy one.
Yeah, LA has not been the safest bet as of late either. Alan, how about you, man?
I always get nervous when we have a consensus, but the Dolphins, it seemed to be the play. That's the one that popped off the screen to me. The Dolphins have the lowest implied team total of any of the favorite teams. The spread, what we say, is around 4.5 right now in the DK Sportsbook. The Dolphins have an implied team total of less than 23 points, but the Giants are usually fun to bet on when they're underdogs, which is most of the time. But the Dolphins are like a mini Patriots right now. They get better as the year goes on. And with Daniel Jones iffy to play, Mike Glennon is a below average backup, as Geoff mentioned before, a poor man's Chase Daniel. The easy play here is the Dolphins.
Pearce, what about an underdog outright? Who you like on Week 13 slate?
Well, I doubt we're going to have any consensus here, and I'm going to go with the Jets. I know this feels like a terrible play, but when you're taking an underdog outright, it's always going to feel like a terrible play. And admittedly, all the pieces in my equation don't add up, and I can't realistically, rationally put it all together. But I'm going to stick with it. And the one thing that I do like is Jalen Hurts is dealing with injury, and the injury was enough that we think that Gardner Minshew might play. And if that's the case, that's a pretty. Well, is he going to play?
No. I'm saying if Gardner Minshew plays, like there's no way the Jets are beating the Eagles. I'm sorry.
You mentioned Gardner Minshew, Pearce, so Emerson's heart rate went up about 100 beats.
I'm sweating.
Jacksonville great for all of 2 games. Yeah, but so if Hurts is injured that much, he's not going to be able to run. And if he can't run, that's the biggest aspect of this Philadelphia offense. You take the run away with Jalen Hurts, what are they going to do? You're going to let him pass? He's looked terrible passing in his short career. He looked terrible passing last week. And you've got Miles Sanders is not 100%. Boston Scott didn't practice yesterday. Jordan Howard didn't practice the other day. Now, the problem with this is I can tell you why the Eagles might play bad, but I can't explain why the Jets are going to turn it on. But in my defense, how many Mondays have we come on here and we were shocked that about the opposite happened, and we had rationally and logically put the pieces together and explain what was going to happen, and then on Monday it was completely the opposite. So who would be surprised that a garbage Philadelphia team loses to a garbage Jets team? No one.
The Eagles were a dud in Week 12. You would think by Week 13 we have learned our lesson. Like, don't be surprised by anything that happens this season around the NFL. Alan, what do you like here? Underdog, you like outright?
My colleague at Rotowire, Chris Liss, just probably passed out as he has the Eagles in his $6 million survivor pool. He's one of 28 people left of 6,000 entries. And he took the Eagles. So please, I'm not going to let him see this broadcast, or else he'll literally won't sleep for the rest of the weekend. For my underdog outright, I like the Pats. They're 8-4 against the spread this season. They look like a freight train, winning 6 games straight. They are, I believe, right now, what is they, a 3-point dog? It was fluctuating between 2.5 and 3.
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah, so they beat up on bad teams and compromised teams like Tennessee, who are clawless without their stars. This is a great yardstick game for New England, and this is where Bill Belichick earns his money and his reputation. And his, they seem like the obvious money line play to me this week. I like them straight up.
Okay, what do you like? Who do you like, Jeffrey? Talk to me, dude.
I mean, look, I'm very tempted to match Pearce's Jets by making a Lions call, who I almost took on my against the spread call, but I'm going to make. I mean, this might be just as bad, but, you have that person you just keep going back to sometimes in life. They just keep hurting you, but you can't stop. I'm going back to the Seattle Seahawks this week. At plus 150, I just think this number is an overreaction in the market. Yes, Seattle is not a good team. We've established that. Russell Wilson not on the top of his game. Everybody wants DK Metcalf to get the ball. This team should not be plus 3.5 at home versus San Francisco. San Francisco, is not that good. They're better, but they're not that good. They're going to be without Deebo Samuel here. And if I asked you this question, Emerson, who the best team after a loss, best team straight up after a loss was since 2012 in the NFL, what do you think the answer would be?
I would go with the Seattle Seahawks.
It is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah!
They are 37-14 after a loss straight up since 2012. I get it. Like, this is a different Seattle Seahawks team.
Yeah,
this is
huge.
a division game. Also, Russell Wilson 5-2 against the San Francisco 49ers since 2018. I think you got to take the plus 150 here. Russ bounces back. It's a good matchup for DK Metcalf as well. I think Seattle plus 150 gives you good value.
We've been saying for the past 3-4 weeks, though, this is a good matchup for DK Metcalf. And Russ will finally right the ship. He's looked awful the past couple weeks.
You can take me to the Seahawks intervention group if this one doesn't work out.
And the Seahawks have the worst pass defense in the league. And I feel like Jimmy G can work with that, even if, Deebo Samuel's going to be missing a little bit of time here. Let's go to, Geoff, start me out here, a game to go over, because you are the king of overs here on the Sweat.
Well, I'm glad we got to talk about this, because I didn't get to talk about this game earlier in the week, but I love the Chargers and Bengals for an over here, man. I mean, 50.5, I'm actually surprised this one hasn't moved. Maybe it will by game time, but you've got 2 studly quarterbacks here playing really good football. You've got, and the thing is, the offenses here are the good units. The defenses are the ones we want to attack. Pearce already mentioned the Chargers' deficiencies against the ground. Joe Mixon is going to tear up this Chargers defense. Joe Burrow looking healthier every week. But on the other side of the ball, the Bengals have given up 8.5 yards per attempt. They've struggled with some veteran receivers like Devontae Adams this year. I think Keenan Allen is going to have a massive game here too. Fast-paced team in the Chargers who throw the ball a lot. And again, the Bengals offense, they've scored 73 points the last 2 weeks. I think this game has all the makings of a great shootout between 2 great quarterbacks. Give me the over on the Chargers and Bengals.
Yeah, man, that's a beefy one. 50.5 right now, tied with the Bucs and Falcons for highest on the slate. Pearce, what about you, dude?
Baltimore and Pittsburgh, we've talked a lot about this week. Go back and watch the videos on YouTube. I'm not going to continue to break down why I think we're overreacting to Lamar Jackson. But if you think that Lamar Jackson is having trouble or he's not 100%, that's fine. But this matchup should make him be pretty healthy. He's facing one of the worst rush defenses, one of the worst pass defenses, and Pittsburgh's not 100% healthy either. I have no doubt in my mind that Baltimore and Lamar Jackson are going to put points on the board. Now, the other side is Ben Roethlisberger. A lot more question marks here, but in garbage time, you can get it done. Got it done last week. But there's a chance that they could stay in this game. Baltimore's pass defense, we talked about it all season. We mentioned it last season. It's not that great. It's gotten worse. They could be healthy in this game, so that's something to keep your eye on. But against a man-to-man defense that allows a lot of big explosive plays, Pittsburgh can hit those big explosive plays. They have done that, and that can result in points. And I like the over in the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game.
I feel like both of those offenses have been hard to trust over the past few weeks. What about you, Alan? Give me a game you like to go over, please.
We just talked about San Francisco and Seattle at 46.5. I like the over there. The public is off Wilson, and they think Seattle is bad, which may be true if Russell Wilson can't throw the football right now. But the temperature is really starting to boil up on the lack of DK Metcalf usage. It's the media attention is starting to focus on it. Metcalf has been getting double teamed regularly, but he is the rare wide receiver that doesn't even need to be open in order to complete a pass to him. I just saw a player note that was said from the offensive coordinator, Seattle, that we need to get Metcalf the ball more. Brilliant strategy. What's his next revelation? That water's wet? It's ridiculous. I'm seeing heavy action on San Francisco on this one, but I really like this as a little sneaky shootout.
Yeah, man. These two teams played to just under that 52-point total. What was that back in week 4, 28-21, a Seattle victory. Okay, let's go game to go under, Allen. Which one are you most confident in?
Sorry, Geoff, but I like the Chargers and Bengals as an under 50.5. This is going to be a popular stack and run back in DFS, chasing that big total. But the Bengals have the reputation as a shootout team with Burrow and those flashy wide receivers. The 3 games prior to their Week 10 bye, they had Burrow was averaging around 37 pass attempts per game. In the 2 games since the bye, Burrow is only averaging 26 pass attempts. The Bengals have become that cold weather run team behind Joe Mixon. Mark this game down as a 24-21 finish. I like the under.
Yeah, this quarterback matchup, that sounds sexy, real sexy, right? But yeah, it could be a grinder of a game, Geoff. What would you like to say to that?
Well, I mean, I thought Alan and I were friends, but I guess not. No, that's fair. Okay, so as far as unders go, I mean, I can't get away from the under on the Tampa Bay Atlanta game. I get it. I mean, you've got 2 teams that like to pass the ball, and Atlanta tends to get in some of these crazy games, but how are they going to score? I just do not see how Atlanta scores against this Tampa Bay defense. Such a good defensive line, bringing good pressure. Matt Ryan and the Falcons, they scored 21 points against the Jaguars, but their last 2 games they scored 3 points. It's 24 points over the last 3 games. I think Tampa Bay's defense just dominates this game from start to finish. And I think the Bucs, they probably put up 30, but they get up so fast that they run the clock out. So I think 50.5, just too big a total here. I like the under in that one.
Yeah, no reason to really believe their offense will muster much of anything on Sunday. Let's go, Pearce. Give me a game that you're confident is going to go under.
I'm on the same game. I just don't see Atlanta doing anything. And I think Geoff probably could have emphasized 21 points versus Jaguars. That's really not very good. You should score a lot more points against I'm sorry, Emerson, but 21 points against Jacksonville. If you're a decent offense, you put more points on the board. But they don't have a decent offense. They don't have much of an offensive line. Pitts is their number 1 receiver, to give you any idea of what they're dealing with. He's a good tight end. He will be good someday, but he is not a good number 1 wide receiver. He's not a good number 1 wide receiver when he has to line up against cornerbacks. You can only, push Cordero Patterson so far. You're going to run him in between the tackles against Tampa? Probably not going to work. They've had success with that against other teams. That's not going to work on Sunday against Tampa. I don't see them scoring points. And on the flip side, I also, and I've been saying this all season, Tampa needs to take it easy. You don't need 40 dropbacks from Tom Brady. You don't need Rob Gronkowski to run 40 routes. You don't need Chris Godwin to run 40 routes. Give the ball to Fournette like they did last week. Give the ball to Jones like they did last week. And take the win.
The Falcons should have went out there and grabbed Adrian Peterson. That's what the Falcons should have done. Run a little tight on time. There's also not a whole lot of player props out there, but give me one maybe early on, Pearce, that you have your eye on.
I'll make it real quick, and this goes contrary to what these guys are saying. Russell Wilson, under 229.5 passing yards. It's over. It's done. He should go get it. Maybe he can be a middle reliever for the Colorado Rockies, but his NFL career is toast.
All right, Allen, player prop.
This goes hand in hand with my Bengals and Chargers under. I think Joe Burrow under 248.5 passing yards. As I mentioned earlier, has been averaging only about 26 attempts per game, 170 passing yards per game. Take the under on Burrow passing yards.
Geoff, talk to me. Bring us home.
I would really watch for the Antonio Gibson props to come out. I really like the overs and all his. Are probably going to assuming they're reasonable. But the one that's up right now I like is Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. When this game is 40-37, and I'm laughing at Allen on Twitter, Keenan Allen's going to have 12 receptions in this